Welcome to the NitWits, a weekly roundtable discussion on the Penn State Nittany Lions, now in its 24th season. Our panel features a longtime Penn State media and NitWits tag team, Neil Rudell of the Altoona-Mirror and Mark Brennan of Lions 24/7 with Fight on State. Between them, they've covered Penn State for more than 75 years. The NitWits are hosted by WTAJ's Anderly Penwell, and each week we welcome a former Nittany Lion as our special guest analyst. The NitWits are brought to you by Irwin Financial, Raymond James, a firm foundation for your financial future. By Monarch Cleaners, for all your dry cleaning, carpet cleaning, and rug cleaning. By Reed and Salaney Orthodontics, providing friendly, family-focused orthodontic care in Altoona, Bedford, and Huntington. By McAleer's Plumbing, specializing in plumbing, heating, and air conditioning, serving our community since 1886. By Remax Results Realty Group, committed to a culture of professionalism, productivity, and exceptional service. By Dorman's Jewelry, the answer is always Dorman's. By Star Beverage, no matter what type of weather, we are a convenient drive-through one-stop beer store. By Kogan Electric, lighting the way for you. By NovaCare, Altoona and State College, we proudly support Penn State football. By Quattrini Rafferty, attorneys at law, Michael Rooch, peace of mind after an injury or illness. By Lions 24/7 with Fight on State, your online home for Penn State football and recruiting coverage. And by the Altoona-Mirror, featuring Penn State Game Day every Friday and Penn State Extra every Monday.
Welcome to Nittany Nation Overtime.
Hi, and welcome to Nittany Nation Overtime, a special Halloween edition with the NitWits. I am Anderly Penwell, and I'm joined by our spooky guests and NitWits today. Mark Brennan, of course, Neil Riddell, and our special guest, Bill Collins, former offensive lineman for the Nittany Lions. So great look, everyone.
It's Halloween, it's festive.
Very festive.
Absolutely.
Kind of a scary game.
Conce's idea. I'm going to come next time.
Not at all.
I think I could depict you next time with your hair.
A lot of people have tried.
Neil's mask lit up.
And this was
seriously.
This was first rate. This was Halloween. It's a Halloween edition.
Bill always brings a new element.
Props.
Thank you.
Props.
Thank you.
And like Mark said, a bit of a scary game last night against Ohio State, the 33-24 loss. So let's just get right into it. Who wants to go first with some thoughts about last night's game?
I think you should go because you had the nicest mask and it
There
fit
you go.
you. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of talk about moral victories after that game, and I do think there's something to be said for that, especially considering the way that Penn State played the previous 2 weeks. But that's the thing that stuck out to me. What did this game show you? It showed you how good this Penn State team could be and how poorly it played the previous 2 games. And had it played anywhere near this level, you're looking at a team that's 7-1 right now. And they're going to be kicking themselves over not the game against Ohio State. They're going to be kicking themselves for the rest of this season over the way they played against Iowa, Illinois, 2 teams that have since shown their true selves by kind of going in the tank after beating Penn State.
Well, that's if they come out strong and finish well this season. I mean, that still remains to be seen, but I think they drove the expectations so low for this game that everybody was expecting them not to be around in the fourth quarter. And I do admire their effort. The defense played tough. Clifford, I think, showed a lot of poise in the pocket. The receivers were terrific. So something to build on to change the narrative and get the season back at least in a positive direction.
Yeah, I would just offer that had you told me on the fact that we would allow 26 offensive points, which was literally half of what Ohio State was scoring against their 4 previous Big Ten opponents, that we would rush for just 33 yards, fewer than we did against Illinois, that with 7 minutes remaining we'd be down 6 and we would score twice as many offensive touchdowns as this home team, Ohio State, did, I would have taken that in a heartbeat. I thought it was a boxing match with 2 teams, 2 heavyweights toe-to-toe. I thought James Franklin had his team ready to play. I thought they played with a sense of urgency, a sense of purpose, but it's an absolute death sentence when you see a team commit as many turnovers as we did at Iowa and again at Ohio State. You're not going to beat ranked opponents on the road when you do that.
You know, one way that I put it is, excuse me, if you dropped in from another planet, and Bill, sometimes people accuse you of dropping in from another planet.
Halloween.
No, but in all seriousness, if you didn't know the background of both of those teams this season and you just watched that game, you would have never guessed one of those teams was an 18.5-point favorite. You would have thought these are two evenly matched teams, two tough teams, two pretty well-coached teams, two very fast teams. I mean, some of those breakaway plays that Ohio State had that the guys were tracked down from behind, the whole stadium was stunned. So as you said, it was like a heavyweight fight going back and forth. And again, I think that's something, Neil, you're right. They really have to look at that and say, build on that as opposed to the previous two debacles.
And you touched on the defense. Currently, Penn State now is ranked 9th in opponents scoring in the red zone. It's only like 69%, which is, they're leading the Big Ten in it. And those third down conversions as well, they really, in my opinion, stuck strong. But what else about the defensive performance, especially in the secondary, impressed you guys?
Well, I think particularly they forced Ohio State into 4 short field goals. And that was a big deal because Ohio State, as Bill mentioned, they've been hanging 50 on just about everybody. Ohio State, if you read some of Ryan Day's comments after the game, it was a little frustrating from their perspective. They had 10 penalties. We'll get to that a little bit later. Penn State's been penalized a lot lately. Just more flags in general, strange flags at times. But I thought that the fact that the defense really bowed up a sudden change, when Penn State's offense may have turned the ball over, in the territory, I thought that was impressive.
Yeah, the defense certainly stepped their game. I think somebody made a very clear message or sent a very clear message after that performance against Illinois that when you're going to go against a team like Ohio State, that you better become prepared. I was more impressed, or as impressed, with the offensive game plan. We kept Ohio State on off balance. I know that it appeared that getting the ball to our playmakers, the people that we can count on, the wide receivers, was certainly something that Ohio State either hadn't prepared for or didn't expect from us. So I thought we kept them off balance most of the night and kept our offense moving.
Yeah, I mean, offensively, Yurcich, they've basically admitted they have no running game, right? You know, they used it at times as kind of a change of pace, excuse me, but that offense is what it is. We've been saying all year they have to try to get the running game going, but if you're not going to get it going against Illinois, you're certainly not going to get it going against Ohio State. And I think if you factor in sacks, they passed nearly twice as many times as they ran the ball, and obviously the key was what? Sean Clifford coming back and being healthy and being able to organize all that.
But they were, the first drive was one of the best drives of the year. Went 89 yards.
Yeah.
They love it, looked pretty good. I mean, it wasn't a ton of yards, but they did mix. Got like 20 yards on the ground. Clifford picked up a couple on a short scramble as well. They converted short yardage third downs. Then I thought at times they settled into maybe too much passing, got away from the run a little bit. I thought when they maybe could have punted when they flipped the field. But, hey, be that as it may, I just thought it's hard to make a case that they should run more when they can't run.
Yeah, to beat a top 5 team, they realized they had to go with their best weapons. And their best weapon offensively clearly is Sean Clifford, right? Because without him, we saw what happened to this team.
Yeah. And well, coming up after a break here on Nittany Nation Overtime, we'll take a look at some interesting special teams choices from the Nittany Lions. Don't go anywhere.
The NitWits are being brought to you by Irwin Financial, Raymond James, a firm foundation for your financial future. By Monarch Cleaners, for all your dry cleaning, carpet cleaning, and rug cleaning. By Reed and Salaney Orthodontics, providing friendly, family-focused orthodontic care in Altoona, Bedford, and Huntington. By McAleer's Plumbing, specializing in plumbing, heating, and air conditioning, serving our community since 1886.
You're watching Nittany Nation Overtime.
Hi, and welcome back to the Halloween edition of Nittany Nation Overtime. So we'll get more into the special teams decisions later in the show, but a big factor of this game, as it's kind of been a non-factor for the rest of the season, is the run game. Weren't really able to run the ball. What were those key factors of why it just is not working out so far?
Well, we got the perfect guest with Bill Kantz, member of the national championship team in '82. And Bill, what are you seeing as an NFL lineman as well? What's going on the offensive line? It just doesn't seem like they're moving people.
Yeah, offensive line play, I think factors like confidence, cohesion, attitude, scheme, and commitment all come into play when you want to have a successful running attack. They just seem to deviate away from it a lot sooner than you would think. Yesterday, I believe 8 of the first 9 plays were running games, and then after that, I think we threw the ball 51 of the next 70 plays. For offensive linemen to have the faith that they need, coaching staff has to show them that they're going to support them. They're going to commit to having a running game. I get that some defenses will scheme against that, put 8 in the box and what have you, but some of the numbers we've seen recently really surprise you, shock you. I think we're 12th out of 14 teams in the Big Ten in terms of yards per carry, and 12th out of 14 in terms of running. So clearly, some of the other teams in the Big Ten are using or are doing it successfully, and as a result, they're a more balanced offense.
Sean ended the game with technically his -11 because he got sacked so many times, even though he had a couple of good carries there. When you're talking about the cohesion of the offensive line, is that something that you're seeing, there's an obvious lack of chemistry, or is it other issues?
No, I don't think it's missed assignments or cohesion. I think it's a lack of confidence that these guys line up and they realize if they get in a second and long situation, they're going to have a situation where Sean Clifford's in the gun and they have no empty set backfield, and they're probably going to run the ball 9 times out of 10. What I did note yesterday, and it may have been because of the injury to Clifford suffered in Iowa, was I don't believe there was one run pass option play that was called.
Yeah, I think one of the issues is that it's great when you think that, try to run the ball, but they did do that against Iowa when Clifford was hurt and it didn't work. They did do it against Illinois to disastrous results. So sooner or later, you are what you are. 2 times this season during the week, James Franklin has called out the physicality of his offensive line. And Bill, what more could a coach say about an O-line when he says we need to be more physical at the point of attack? That is really getting to the heart of what an offensive lineman is about.
Certainly
it
gets your attention, and I think a more aggressive manner in which how we're coaching these guys up may be in play. Do we have the right type of player? Ohio State lined up guys. I couldn't believe the size of them. The 6'5", 322 pounds average across the front. A lot of those guys will play at that next level. I don't know that we see many Penn State offensive linemen advance to the NFL.
Well, Walker and Caden Wallace are both that size, and I thought both guys struggled at times against Ohio State. And Caden Wallace has had kind of a tough year overall. But sooner or later, for this team to be what it wants to be, we can talk about running, passing, whatever. That offensive line, the coaching staff is calling it out, saying toughen up and be more physical. They have to be more physical. I'm taking James Franklin at his word.
Well, some of it I think is going to get back to recruitment too. If you look at the number of players going to the NFL, certainly back in your era where they were cloning offensive linemen, even the guys that weren't necessarily like you, Bill, the super high round number 1 or number 2 draft picks had long careers in the NFL, and now you're seeing more pitch and catch. The program is I don't want to say it's de-emphasized, because James is always talking about they have to be more balanced and run the football. But I think some of it, you have to wonder about the recruiting.
Well, I think at this point, you have 4 games left in the regular season. Do they start looking at some of the younger players, like a Landon Tangwell, a true freshman who was a really high-rated recruit who hasn't played yet this season, where they may be kind of waiting until you could still play him those 4 games and still redshirt him? For people who don't know, you can play 4 games at whatever year and still redshirt. So maybe that's something they're looking at doing. But they tried changing up the center position. They've tried doing different things, and it just hasn't worked.
Well, they wanted to shorten the game. You could see they wanted to keep Ohio State's great offense off the field when they could. And early on, they were dominating time of possessions. They made 11 of 18 first downs, but it was higher earlier in the game. I think they made 5 of their first 6 on third down. It get to second and 5. Okay, at the 48 on the other side of the field. This was the series where they ended up going for it, where Clifford was sacked. But on 2nd and 5, they passed. Okay, if you know you're going to go for it on that series, maybe you run there and possibly on third down and have a couple tries. I just thought they might have gotten away from it a little bit, and maybe that speaks to the confidence that the linemen don't have.
Awesome. Well, coming up after a break, we'll take a look at some interesting special teams choices from the Nittany Lions. Don't go anywhere.
The NitWits are being brought to you by RE/MAX Results Realty Group, committed to a culture of professionalism, productivity, and exceptional service. By Dorman's Jewelry, the answer is always Dorman's. By Star Beverage, no matter what type of weather, we are a convenient drive-through one-stop beer store. By Kogan Electric, lighting the way for you.
You're watching Nittany Nation Overtime.
Happy Halloween from the NitWits. Of course, we are joined by Mark Brennan, Neil Rodell, and guest Bill Cons this evening. Thank you so much for being here, Bill. So something else that was interesting that, Neil, you wanted to talk about was some of the interesting special teams choices, or is that a Mark?
No, it's
That was kind of
You
in
guys
my.
gave each other a
He's
look
a Mr.
there.
Wet Blanket.
Yeah, well, I mean, they lost 3 in a row. I hate to break it to you. This was in my craw during the game. I think they're fair catching too many kickoffs. I mean, I get the analytics, but I'd want to be a little less robotic in certain situations.
Dotson's are explosive.
Well, in punt returns, yeah, but I'm saying the kickoffs, they had room to try to take a kickoff and make a big play. I know the analytics tell you that, more times than not you'll be at the 25 if you just fair catch it. But you're in Columbus. You've got the number 5 team there, and you may need a special teams play when you can't run the ball. I just thought, hey, let's be a little more aggressive here.
Having spoken to Joe Lorig, you would lose that argument. But I do agree with you in the sense that, listen, the analytics may say to fair catch it most of the time. You're in a game, as you said, in the horseshoe against the number 5 team in the nation. You need a jolt of energy in the fourth quarter. Why not give it a whirl? At that point, that's when you do it. I think generally speaking, you do the fair catch to get your field position where you want it to be. But you have some really good athletes back there. Give them an opportunity, not every single time, but maybe when you need that jolt of adrenaline. So there, I agree with you.
How about
Neil.
that?
Yeah, for once.
Happy Halloween.
And any other nitpicks that's pun fully intended there that you want to go over? Anyone else? Any other thoughts?
No, I mean I was completely good with them going for the stout field goal attempt late in the game. I think that gets you, and I think that gets you on track. It keeps you alive to maybe get an onside kick. He was booming them in the pregame, so I was just absolutely stunned. As good as he's been all year, I was stunned that he missed that. I don't think it ended up costing them the game because it would have been very tough. But yeah, I mean that would be one thing. I don't know that I wouldn't call that a nitpick. But that as good as Stout's been, you kind of would expect him to step up in that situation.
My nitpick is simply James Franklin's success against top 10 opponents. Here we are once again. We now sit with another disappointing loss to an Ohio State team. We always seem to play them tough. However, reality dictates that he's 1-7 against Ohio State. They contrast that with Jim Harbaugh up in Michigan, who has fared no better. He's 0-6 against Ohio State. But at some point, when we play these elite teams, we speak about that, and I define an elite team as somebody that's balanced offensively and an opportunistic defense, a buttoned-up special teams that don't make mistakes there. If we are to truly get back to or achieve elite status, we have to start beating top 10 ranked opponents.
I would like to see them punt from midfield with a 7-3 lead, flip the field there, be patient. The defense was playing well. I thought that might have been the play. I know we talked about it, I think, off air, but that didn't lose the game, but I thought they could have done that.
Yeah, one other quick thing. Curtis Jacobs, I think, is playing really, really well. You know, they take him off the field in those nickel and dime situations, and I just wonder if there isn't a better option there. I mean, he's very athletic. He had an interception recently, played all over the place in high school. I know he's still a young player, but he's a dynamic, tough player, and I think taking him off the field in those nickel and dime situations, I think they might be able to come up with a little bit better approach there.
Yeah, one more thing real quick. They had 7 penalties. I think they now have had 25 in the last 3 games. A couple of them were odd penalties, bang calls against Porter, and they didn't get home yesterday, so no sacks against Stroud, which made the secondary hold up a lot longer. I think the secondary's generally been good. They did let the Henderson kid around the edge for the big run, but other than that, they defended the run pretty well.
And coming up after a break, we'll go over our Nitwit of the Week for this spooky Halloween show. We'll be right back.
The Nitwits are being brought to you by NovaCare, Altoona and State College. We proudly support Penn State football. By Quattrini Rafferty, attorneys at law. Michael Rooch, peace of mind after an injury or illness. By Lions 24/7 with Fight on State, your online home for Penn State football and recruiting coverage. And by the Altoona Mirror, featuring Penn State Game Day every Friday and Penn State Extra every Monday.
You're watching Nittany Nation Overtime.
So here are our updated Nitwit of the Week standings. My boss, Andrew Clay, was filling in for me last week while I was out of town, so he gets the win, so I get the win. So
yeah.
I'm ahead. I'm proud of that. Thank you, Andrew, for making a good pick on behalf of the A-team, as we call ourselves.
Yeah.
So moving into next week against Maryland, I will go first with my pick as the reigning spooky Nitwit of the week. I think Penn State's going to win 34-17 on the road. I see them putting up some good points next week against Maryland. Who's next?
Okay. I see, hey, this is really a must opportunity to carry positive energy from this loss and stop the bleeding. Maybe even be able to run the ball, challenge the offensive line. I'm going to say 29-16 Penn State.
Yeah, you know, over the summer, Mike Loxley had some things to say at Big Ten Media Day about James Franklin and his sincerity as a recruiter, and I think he may come to regret that. You know, it wasn't really a classiest thing to say. Didn't mention him by name, but called him to coach up north. So I think he was trying to steal from the old Ohio State Michigan thing. I look for Penn State to win this one pretty handily. I think they come out of that game against Ohio State very confident, and I will go 38-20.
And Bill, what
And,
about
and
you?
I agree with Mark. I think that this is a start of a 4-game stretch. There's still a lot to accomplish. We have 2 ranked opponents. We build on the confidence that we got from the Ohio State game, and I think, you know, based on the coach speak, if you will, banner back and forth, I see Penn State winning rather handily. I'll say 45-14.
Awesome. And Bill also is an author. His book here, Mark, you were going to use it as a mask earlier. So his secondary mask called
When the Lions Roared.
Very, very good read, really is. I enjoyed
Thank you.
thoroughly, and
Very proud of it.
And
National title team, 1982.
Yeah, seems like a long time ago, but as detailed in the book, a lot of great stories from a lot of my former teammates, and fun project to write and complete.
all right, you said your former teammates are on it. I'm going to put you on the spot. All-time favorite teammate, Nittany Lion teammate.
All-time favorite teammate. Wow, that's a tough one. You know,
Loaded question,
from
sorry.
humility, from a standpoint of talent, I lined up next to him in the huddle for 2 years. I'll say Kurt Warner.
yeah,
There you
good
go.
choice. Well, how about this? There's no masking this team's greatness, despite your attempts.
I do not argue with that one. However, again, it makes a great holiday gift giving. Any Penn Stater on your list, a copy of When the Lions Roared.
Where can they get it?
Amazon, Triumph. I have a website, Bill Kantz PSU, if you folks so choose to take a look at that as well. But that book's available on all 3.
At this point, he'll deliver to your house.
I don't
Sign
have a
it.
problem with that. Yeah.
With a mask.
With the mask.
Can do
Is it
that.
safe to say Halloween is your favorite holiday based
No,
on
it's
the
one of
masks?
them. I mean, it's a holiday. We should all embrace it and celebrate it like we have done. So,
Yeah.
Candy and masks. What more can you want?
it's Halloween.
All right. Well, thank you so much for tuning in to Nittany Nation Overtime. We're the Nitwits. Have a good night.
The NitWits are being brought to you by Irwin Financial, Raymond James, a firm foundation for your financial future. By Monarch Cleaners, for all your dry cleaning, carpet cleaning, and rug cleaning. By Reed and Solani Orthodontics, providing friendly, family-focused orthodontic care in Altoona, Bedford, and Huntington. By McAleer's Plumbing, specializing in plumbing, heating, and air conditioning, serving our community since 1886. By Remax Results Realty Group, committed to a culture of professionalism, productivity, and exceptional service. By Dorman's Jewelry, the answer is always Dorman's. By Star Beverage, no matter what type of weather, we are a convenient drive-through one-stop beer store. By Kogan Electric, lighting the way for you. By NovaCare, Altoona and State College, we proudly support Penn State football. By Quattrini Rafferty, attorneys at law, Michael Rooch, peace of mind after an injury or illness. By Lions 24/7 with Fight on State, your online home for Penn State football and recruiting coverage. And by the Altoona Mirror, featuring Penn State Game Day every Friday and Penn State Extra every Monday. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next week.